Annie Dookhan and the Massachusetts Drug Lab Crisis. In this presentation, I am going to talk about Annie Dookhan and how she broke ethics in her professional workplace. Annie was born in 1977. She grew up in Trinidad and eventually moved to the United States to become a citizen. Dookhan went to college at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. Her duties as a chemist was performing drug testing and quality control for the Office of Health and Human Services for Chemist I. In 2004, her duties as Chemist II was testifying in court or at formal hearings by appearing as an expert witness to defend the findings of a test examination or analysis, maintaining inventory of laboratory supplies and equipment by determining when they must be ordered or by purchasing orders to maintain proper supply levels. She also supervised and instructed professional personnel in the proper procedures to be followed in testing, sampling and analyzing materials, liquids, or chemicals. Lastly, analyzed narcotics and substances to make positive identification for use as evidence in court. Fabricating your credentials is very unethical. If they are lying about their credentials, do you think they are going to other things? Module 6 talks about the criteria you need to become an expert witness. In this case, you need an undergraduate and a graduate degree in a specific field of study. She did not have a graduate degree because she lied about it. I believe since she had false credentials, they should have kept a better eye on her because she could have lied about many other things. Dry labbing is when they don't actually conduct a test on the drug evidence, but rather eyeball the residue to guess what they may actually be. She felt as if the tests were unnecessary because of that she did not report the forensic tests. Module 13 states that this would be an incident of misconduct. Do they think at this point they should have had a full-on investigation on her work ethic? Forging a colleague's signature is very unethical because first it is illegal and second they lose trust in their colleagues. They are supposed to be there to count on them and trust them. They found that her key that she had matched the key to the door that led to the evidence room. If Dookhan was suspended, why was she allowed to still be an expert witness in drug cases? Her being able to still testify passes a bad reputation on the professional world of forensic science. The manipulation that Dookhan has done was not testing all of the drug samples, deliberately tainted drug evidence, mixed evidence so it would test positive for drugs when in fact it was negative, and forging signatures of colleagues on drug testing paperwork. After Dookhan was criminally charged, Dr. Linda Hahn, who was the Director of Laboratory Services, had resigned and Julie Nassif, who was the Director of Analytical Chemistry Division, was fired. Since Dookhan tampered with evidence, many other professional cultures like lawyers, courts and other expert witnesses are going to have to relook at cases and go look over the evidence. One person's mistake could ruin a lot of people. She may have fabricated the results so it would lead to the right answer, because the law enforcement and the prosecutors that she was working with wanted that person in jail according to Module 10. She wanted those to look up to her and trust her, so that is why she would find the correct answer. Since they gave her more responsibility, she felt like they wouldn't question her because she was doing a good job. According to Bowen, chain of custody is imperative for court because it tracks where the evidence is going and whose hands it is in. Competence deals with credibility and the accuracy or reliability of the work performed. She would not be considered credible because she would tell the jury where she got her master's, which she actually never got. She also took 90 samples and forged her colleagues' signatures. But she was never given consequences for her poor behavior. According to Module 9, you need to be given consequences. How is someone able to be unethical, but still able to testify in court? In Module 13, there was a list of ethical misconducts in forensic science. In the list, Dookhan's misconduct was reporting on forensic tests not actually done out of misguided belief that the tests are unnecessary, fabricating scientific opinions based on invalid interpretations of tests or evidence to prosecution, and examining physical evidence when qualified not to do so. Dookhan broke ethical standards because she was caught forging a colleague's initials on paperwork. One of the purposes of a code of ethics is to assure members within the profession that they can rely on their colleagues to maintain certain levels of technical or moral standards in exchange for conducting themselves in accordance with the same principles according to Module 11. Did Dookhan have anyone's best interest or just herself? They are going to focus on cases where defendants received stiffer sentences because of previous offenses or cases where defendants risked or lost their jobs, public housing, custody of their children, and deportation. The people who lost their jobs were Julie Nassif, who was the director of Analytical Chemistry Division. John Auerbach, who was the commissioner of Massachusetts Department of Public Health, resigned. Dookhan would alter the drug tests to say positive, because Papa Christos would tell her that he wanted the person to be found guilty. They would email each other explaining that he needed the sample of marijuana to weigh a certain amount so the owners could be charged with drug trafficking. The sad part is Papa Christos was able to get away with the misconduct, because he is not personally liable, since it is nature of the beast based on Module 5. The misconduct he would be using is misusing evidence. In the law, his acts were unethical, but not illegal according to Module 2. Was Dookhan willing to do anything even if her job was on the line? The immediate supervisors should have kept a closer look on her. They should have watched her when she was testing the evidence to make sure she wasn't dry labbing. Don't you think people are going to continue what they're doing if they don't get caught? She broke the code of ethics. A code of ethics addresses personal morality, honesty, truthfulness and virtue states in Module 6. She broke the code because she was not truthful about her credentials and the drug evidence. Dookhan created a long list of problems for the Hinton State Lab, which eventually closed. Dookhan tampering with evidence has caused many problems which will take years to be fixed. In the end of it all, was this really worth jail time and ruining her career?